intuitive pet communicator as well as a people communicator. I also do mediumship for both people and pets. My goal is to help people reveal the journey that they're here to learn from their pets. I also help people heal through their pets. I believe truly that there is a balance between mind, body, and spirit, between us and our pets. Any negative thought, feeling, emotion, whether it be negative or positive, our pets are a mirror, and they literally absorb whatever it is we are feeling, thinking, doing, and they become stressed out just like us. And eventually that can lead to behavioral issues coming out, emotional issues, and even disease, just like us. If we're under stress long enough, and we're that negatively thinking, and we literally manifest that into our reality, we also manifest that into our energetic body as well. And when we do this, we expose our pets to the same kind of trauma, and they literally can get sick as well. And I'm not here to blame anybody if their dog or cat has died of cancer or anything like that. But there are times where we can get sick ourselves, and our pets can get sick from undergoing a lot of trauma and stress in our lives. So I'm here to help you and I learn how to break free energetically and emotionally from our issues, so that our pets can share our journey together, so we can learn from our pets and understand why they are here in our lives, why we have a soul contract with our pets. Because nowadays, pets, let's face it, pets are completely different than they were, say, even 60 years ago. I know my grandparents had a dog named Kalua when I was a child, and Kalua actually had to stay outside because my grandparents felt that she was dirty and dogs didn't belong in the home. They loved her very much. They spoiled her. She had a kennel outside, and they would let her run free on their farm once in a while, and that was like a treat for her. But literally, she was not allowed indoors. If she was, that was like once every 5 years from what I remember, or never even, as a matter of fact. And that has come now to the point where my dogs are my children, because I don't have human children. I have the kind of relationship that is evolved into something much more than, say, a farm dog would have been even 30, 40 years ago. Now we treat our dogs pretty much like they're people. We do realize that they have souls. I have learned on my own journey that I have soul contracts with my pets. They are my children, and they have taught me much. And I believe that we all have soul contracts. Any of us who have that kind of love for a pet, where we take them in as family, we definitely have soul contracts. And sometimes you can have many soul contracts where our pets even reincarnate, because our lives are typically longer than a dog or cat's life. Our pet could typically come back 3 to 4 times throughout our lifetime, where I feel we continue the journey. Each time the journey will be a little different. There are lessons to learn. And that is what I am here to do, is help people learn about those lessons. And basically, I only became very, let's say it came full circle for me when my dog Remington died in 2017. Actually, it's almost a year. It'll be November 7th. Today's the 5th. And he passed away, or I should say transitioned, in 2017. Prior to that, we were together a beautiful 13 plus years together. I believe he was close to almost 15 when he passed away, because when I got him, he was a full-grown male, and I got him from the Humane Society. I found him online. I saw a picture of him. I looked into his eyes, and when I looked into his eyes, there was a familiarity there. He reminded me of actually an Irish setter I had when I grew up, named Ben. The eyes were the same, and that's what attracted me. I'm like, this dog, I just feel there's something about this dog. I saw him online at a Humane Society, Rock County Humane Society in Wisconsin. And I knew that he had to be my dog, and I was going to adopt him for $80. That story turned out a little strange because what happened was, when I had filled out the application, he ended up being adopted by another man. And I was just crushed. I said, this can't be this is my dog. He's going to be with me. And I was just crushed. I couldn't believe it. Well, what happened was a couple weeks had gone by and I got a call, or maybe it was an email. This was several years ago already. I got a call from the Humane Society and they said, I just wanted to let you know that Remington has become available again. It just didn't work out with the other owner. He had him for a week or two, and I guess Remington had chewed up his sofa. And I was like, it was like music to my ears because Remington, I knew he was going to be my dog. And she goes, I don't want to let Remington down again. I want to make sure this is a good fit. You're going to have to come all the way to Rock County, and Rock County, I think is a good 2-hour drive from where I was. And she wanted the whole family to come in. And at that time I was engaged to Joe, and we had Shelby, which was our other dog. And at that time we had just lost our other 2 dogs, Jake and Molly. And I just felt a big void in my life because Jake was another one of my soulmates. And I felt that Jake brought Remington to me in some way, or she could have even been reincarnated. I'm not really sure yet to this day about that, but I feel that she orchestrated Remington coming into our life. So I had to convince Joe that we had to go meet Remington and we had to bring Shelby. Well, I remember at the time, he's like, there's absolutely no way I'm driving all the way to Rockford, because he had a toothache. He had this terrible toothache. And it was to the point where he couldn't function, so I'm like, okay, what can we do to get you to go? And it was like that day I needed him to go. And I'm like, I can't miss this again, Joe. He's like, you don't understand. I'm in so much pain. So I ended up calling a dentist. This was a Saturday. I'm trying to remember the exact date. I should know, November 23rd, I believe, of 2003. I had to find a dentist that would take him without insurance and an emergency situation on a Saturday and literally pull that tooth out. And I happened to find Dr. Camozzi at that time. And he said, sure, have Joe come in. We'll pull it out, give him a bunch of pain pills. And so I said, Joe, please. And we argued about it. I said, please, you have to do this for me. This is going to be my dog. Well, somehow I convinced him. He got his tooth pulled and he had all this cotton in his mouth. He was on all these drugs. Fine, let's go. I'm not sure who drove. I may have drove. We got Shelby in the car and we went. Needless to say, we got to the Humane Society. We met Remington and we got to have the dogs go outside together in this beautiful enclosed area. And I just started crying, and even Joe started crying. We knew that even though Joe didn't think he was ready for another dog after losing our other 2 beautiful babies, Jake and Molly. But I convinced him. He goes, I think it feels right. Remy just feels right. And we took him home, and the rest was history. So my point with this is when Remington got sick, his back legs went out in 2016 and in March of 2016. And he couldn't walk, and I just couldn't put him down. Most people would. So what happened was the very last few months of his life when he couldn't walk, he was scared in the dark. So I let him sleep on the bed next to me. But I also had this light, and it's just a light. It has a cord where you can plug it in, but also has batteries. So you can work both ways with it. And I put it on at night when he was scared. It gave just a really pretty glow. And it just gave him a little comfort in the middle of the night in those last few months. So he could see me and he didn't feel so stranded. So eventually in November 2007, I don't want to cry. Remy had to pass. He had to leave. And I don't want to cry. Still can cry because I love him so much. But the good point about this whole story is that when you think you lose your pet physically, okay, because we are on this physical realm where everything we see, feel, and touch is all we know. After I lost Remy, a whole new world opened up to me. And I realized I didn't lose him at all because he and I are forever. And this light actually started blinking, which I never had problems with it. It just started blinking, I'd say maybe not even a week after he passed. It was like he passed and I would talk to him out loud and this thing just started blinking. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I remember checking the cord. Okay, and it's a little dusty now, sorry. It doesn't get much use anymore because honestly it doesn't blink anymore that much, but that's where we're going to talk. So I checked the batteries, I checked the cord, everything seemed cool. I put new batteries in because I wanted to make sure it wasn't like some weird short. And it kept blinking and I'm like, Remington, is that you? Because I've heard that battery operated items or electrical items can be manipulated by, you've seen it in paranormal reality shows, or I've read about it. And the soul's energy, or any kind of energy, we have the same energy. We just don't know how to manipulate it as we're alive here in this physical body. However, but when we transfer out of our body, I believe we still have a consciousness, and we still have that energetic soul. So we take that consciousness with us when we leave our body. And so we have a full consciousness. So he was well aware, in the space that he was probably, I don't know what happens when we pass, but he was able to manipulate this light and make it flicker. And I truly believe this. And the story continued because I kept putting out one of his toys right in front of it every time he would make it blink, just to acknowledge that I knew it was him. And so then it kept continuing. And it was mainly at night, though I had it on all day, and sometimes it came on in the day. But usually when I'd be relaxing and my mind would be in a more relaxed state, which makes sense to me when you want to receive any kind of intuitive or psychic messages. You really want to be in a meditative, slower, or not necessarily slower brainwave state, but a more relaxed one. So it seemed to happen at night. My guy Yates was there many of the times too. And one time we even put a sugar cookie, because Remy loved these frosted covered sugar cookies. And so and after he passed, I mean, he would just beg for these. And towards the end of his life, I'm like, fine, you can have them. But anyway, one day we had some. Yates had bought some, and he's like, well, let's put one up there for Remy, in honor of Remy, because we would, see the blinking lights. I put it up there after it blinked, and I swear to you, and this is no lie, the next morning that cookie was gone. And I asked Yates, I said, Yates, did you take that cookie? Come on, you're pulling my leg. He goes, no, I swear to you. He goes, I swear to you, I did not take the cookie. And I believe him. He wouldn't have lied about it, because he seemed equally as amazed. So either A, we had a very big mouse because it left no crumbs, or Remy somehow maneuvered that cookie to be gone. But anyway, regardless of that, we continued our story with our game with the lights. And I would then, I had time to myself, would, ask Remy questions through the light. And I'd be like, make it blink 3 times consecutively for yes, or 2 times consecutively for no. And we went on with this for quite a while. And then it was Mother's Day. And I decided, the lights are blinking, of course, on Mother's Day, which I felt appropriate because he was my son. I had him in my life for, 13 and a half, 14 years, really. And so I asked him, I said, where you are you with Shelby and Everett? Shelby and Everett were the 2 dogs that I had at the time. I mentioned Shelby. We got Everett after Remington. He was a rescue pointer, and he had run away after that. But anyway, it was the 3 of them for a while, at least a year together. Well, they were alive when we first got Remy, and then we got Everett. And I asked him, I said, is Shelby and Everett with you where you are? If it's heaven or wherever you are, and of course it blinked, and it did its yes thing. And I asked a few more questions, and I just was curious about that because I don't know if they even passed away at this point, because Shelby actually was another runaway dog, long story. So Everett and Shelby ended up being dogs that we had, but ran away and were never found. So I have no idea whatever happened to them. Remy was the only connection to those dogs at the time. And right at that time, right before I'd asked the lights, okay, I have to add to the story. I was creating a website revamp for the Wisconsin German short-haired pointer rescue, okay? And I am also a volunteer. So I said, okay, fine, I'll create this website for you for free. That's my, I felt like I needed to do something for the German short-haired pointer community, because Remington was a pointer as well. So as I was creating the website, we decided, I said, well, let's create a new header for the homepage. And what would make more sense than to have a German short-haired pointer? I wanted something professional looking. So I did a Google search for German short-haired pointer. And I scrolled through 3 pages, and all of a sudden I looked, and this was 3 days after I had asked Remy if he was with the other 2 dogs. Actually, I kind of confused myself. It was 3 days after that, and I got to about the 3rd page scrolling down of Google images for German short pointers, and all of a sudden I look, And I see a picture of Everett, which was my other German Shorthair pointer, that ran away, that also was part of Remington's life. And I thought, oh my God, what is my picture of Everett? I had taken some really beautiful pictures years ago. I would say it was probably 2000, oh gosh, 2005, something like that. And it was a beautiful picture of Everett. And I was like, oh my God, what's my picture doing? I clicked on it and I had like Wikipedia or something like that, wiki something or other. And it had a link. And it was somebody who had posted like a picture of a German Shorthair pointer. Well, I looked through it and I found out that they had found it from my Flickr account. Well, I haven't looked at my Flickr account in years. Okay. I forgot about my Flickr account. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So once I went over and I'm like, oh my God, my Flickr account, I've got all kinds of pictures of the dogs in there. Well, when I figured out my login information, I went in there. Lo and behold, were all these pictures of Remington, Shelby, and Everett. We had taken a vacation, 2004 or 5 together, and I took all these beautiful pictures. Totally forgot about them. I knew that I had them, and actually I had been looking for them like a month maybe before this whole thing happened. But I could not remember where they were. I cannot find them. They were these beautiful vacation pictures of all 3 dogs. And I figured, oh my God, this made sense because 3 days before that, on Mother's Day, I had asked Remington if he was with Shelby and Everett, those 2 same dogs, if they were okay. Well, he led me. He heard me, obviously, and he led me in a weird way to find those photographs of the 3 of them. And so for me, that was validation that, first of all, he had heard me asking if he was with them. And there they were, all 3 dogs, a time captured forever of a vacation in a moment in time where we were together. And yes, to me, that meant he is with them. I thought that was absolutely amazing. I'm still floored to this day. And so as you see, Remington actually woke me up to realizing that we are all still connected even after someone transitioned. Okay. He also helped me realize that I could communicate with him and others, which I always felt since I was a little girl that I always felt like I was being watched. Like I had guides always watching me. I'd always talk to myself as a kid, even as a teenager. I've always was scared in certain houses we lived in. I always felt the presences, okay? So I always knew that was there, but I never knew how to communicate. Like, it's not like I heard the voices talk to me. I could feel them, but I didn't know how to communicate with them. So because this happened with Remington and I believed in it, I feel that this was his gift to me for the next phase of my life. Because after that, I had gone to a psychic medium, Trisha Carr, who I love and adore. Trisha Carr, even though we don't talk anymore, I still worship the ground you walk on. I love you, okay, Trisha Carr, because you're part of the scenario of my whole opening and awakening to what I now know as my life path. So I had gone to her. We did a phone mediumship call. Of course, it was about Remington. This was back a little bit here. And my question was, I told her about the blinking light, and I told that whole story. She's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yes, it's him. And I just wanted to know if when I was ready, he would reincarnate. And she said, absolutely, but you have to be ready. And he definitely would come back, but he's coming back different. And she said, he's coming back more calm. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, because Remington was super hyper. He couldn't go for a car ride without barking the whole time. He just had like this adrenaline crazy rush. And that was Remy. Okay. I loved him anyway, but it just like car rides were not fun. Stuff like that. So I kept that in my mind, and then I decided that I was going to have a German Shorthair puppy bred. I found a breeder, and I said, I'm going to go for this. And I read some books about reincarnation with your pet, and I had this intention set that Remington, I wanted him to come back. The only thing I thought about was like, okay, what if the light keeps blinking after I get this puppy? I thought that was kind of like, I didn't know how it would work out, So, so Trisha did that reading for me, and she said, you can psychically connect with your pet. It's possible. We all as humans have this born natural ability. It's just that we learn when we are kids that like none of it's real, and you're not seeing ghosts, you're not seeing monsters, you're not hearing voices, you don't have imaginary friends, you're not seeing unicorns and fairies and blah, blah, blah. So we learn to like let go of that. But Trisha made me realize that I could learn how, okay? And she happened to have a pet communication class coming up. And I said, yes, I definitely want to take this because I want to learn how to communicate. This is my life path. Well, when I took this class with Trisha, which was an absolutely amazing class, she has it all the time, I was amazed at, there's certain steps you want to take in order to connect with either someone who's passed on or even just your higher self, your guides. If you want to do a psychic reading for somebody, the 3 steps are very simple and you can master them. It has to do with holding complete and utter unconditional love in your heart. The other aspect of that is being in a meditative frame of mind, okay, where you're allowing your thinking mind to not interfere with what's coming in or what you're feeling with your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, okay? So once you get in that meditative state of mind, you can envision you connecting with a pet or a person as you're holding unconditional love in your heart. And at the same time, the third step to that is to ground with Mother Earth, okay? You have to be centered and grounded in order to calm your mind, get it out of the way so that you can allow in the beautiful, the true, the love, okay? While you're holding that love in your heart. And those are basically the 3 steps, are meditation, having and feeling unconditional love, and also grounding with the earth. Once you learn those and you start practicing, a whole new world opened up for me. And I now know my life path, my soul's path, because of Remington sending me this gift of communication through this light and answering my questions. I now know that my job here is to help people connect with their pets and heal through their pets and their loved ones, okay? And that is what I do. So that is part of my life journey. I believe we all have a life journey, and they don't always end when our pets transition. There was a time period when I had Jack bred, like I was saying, and the light would blink and we would talk all the time. And I was so fearful that once Jack was born, was Remy going to be able to communicate with me? That was the other part. I didn't want that to stop because we had this higher communication going on. But strangely enough, when Jack was born, he had these 2 spots on his back that were identical to Remington's, almost near identical. And I knew that he had to be the one when I saw those little spots on his back. And when we brought Jack home, actually, when he was born, the light really didn't blink as much. It was weird, it kind of like either Remington decided, his soul decided, okay, because I want her to believe, we're not going to make this blink as much. It blinked a couple times here and there, but nothing much like it was. When Jack came home, it didn't really blink at all. Okay, and then I kind of dealt with some guilt about it. I thought, what if I'm wrong? And I had to believe Remy was reincarnated. His beautiful soul was coming back to me. But what if I was scaring him off in some way now? And he felt like he was being replaced. And I knew that wasn't true. That was not true in my heart at all, So really, the light didn't blink for a year. It didn't blink for a year. And I made sure to check those batteries, replaced them, and I made sure it was plugged in. Well, a year now, it's been a year and 3 months since Jack was born in June of 2018. A year went by, and this past September, which now that I think about September 23rd, this just dawned on me. I'm going to have to go back to my date. But this light, it was a Sunday morning. We were laying in bed with Jack, and this thing just went on out of nowhere. And it was September. And it kind of felt like a year because I got Jack. It had been a year in August, and this was September. It just dawned on me that September 23rd was the anniversary of when we got Remington in 2003. So I'm going to check into that now. But it started blinking, and I even filmed it. I'm like, oh my God, Remy's here. He's just here to say hi. And I feel that even if one is reincarnated, whether it be human or pet, I feel that our higher self, our higher soul is always wherever, wherever, heaven or wherever, the source, it's with source. Okay. We're all one. And I believe that our higher soul, our higher self is always intact for us to be able to communicate with. Okay. So I feel that I can still communicate with Remington, even though he is reincarnated as Jack. So part of the soul basically is dispatched, is how Trisha Carr words it. And I tend to agree with this concept. I feel like our soul is always there. It broadcasts down parts of itself, and maybe it could be in multiple dimensions. We really don't know. But here on this physical earth, I feel like we kind of broadcast part of that energy down into our physical being. So part of Remington definitely, that soul, that precious soul, I feel is part of Jack. But I also feel, and I wanted to test this, by the way, I wanted to test this theory. I also feel that if I wanted to reach Remington, I could reach him at any time, because I always call on Remington's soul to help me with my psychic and mediumship readings, whether it be with a human or a pet. I feel that he's always there with me. So I thought to myself, how could that be? Well, you might think that too. How can that be? Well, if Jack's reincarnated and that soul of Remington is there, because the higher self, our dog's higher self, whoever's higher self, which I'm going to call the soul, is always available for us to communicate with. Just like when people pass over, I was thinking about this. When people pass over, I've heard, there's been people that can recall that from past lives through hypnosis, or there's people that have had near-death experiences. They always say, well, my entire family came and they were there with me. But I thought to myself, and I've heard this, like, what if some of those people are still on Earth? But they are still seeing a lot of these people, because I believe our main soul is still there. Okay, it's still there together. We're all together. All of us, all the people in our soul group are together in a higher place right now. Even me, even my soul is in a higher place now. Yes, part of it's dispatched down and experiencing Lisa Solituri in this time period on this planet, because that's part of my soul's journey. The contract I signed was to come here and experience it. But it doesn't mean that my higher self, my soul, isn't still on the other side. Okay. So how I tested this, and you can do the same thing. If you have a loved one or a pet, loved one, same thing, and you want to test this out. This is what I did. I wanted to ask for a sign. Simple as that. So last weekend, and that's the reason I'm making this video, is I decided I was home alone. And, it'd been a month since the light came on. Like I said, it came on 1 year in September. And I thought to myself, well, let's just ask Remy right now. We'll talk out loud, however you want to do it. I connected with him and I said, Remington, I would love for you to make this light blink now. Okay. And I do acknowledge that now isn't always the second, because it just doesn't work that way. Now could be tomorrow in 6 hours. It doesn't always happen the second that you want it to happen. Okay. So I said that. I said, I would love for you to make this light blink. I want, that will be proof to me that your higher soul is still intact, even though you're reincarnated. And I haven't heard from you in a while, and I would love for you to make the light blink. And so it is. And I left it at that. Well, that night, as a matter of fact, be announced to me, I had no idea that the light here was blinking. I didn't know that, but Yates knew it. Yates woke up to it and said it was loud, it was bright, and I can't believe you didn't see it. And I said, I didn't see it. Well, so that was the night I asked. Okay. The following night, I was sitting there because I hadn't known that the light went on. I kind of forgot I even asked. I was watching TV by myself. It was about midnight or so, and the light just went boom. And it was on for about 5 seconds, and it went off. And I'm like, Remington! It was even probably more than 5 seconds, maybe like 10. I'm like, oh my gosh, Remington, now you're here. I love you. You did it. You did it. And I remembered, I'm like, that's right. I just asked you on Friday afternoon, and this was Saturday night now, and you did make it happen. And so as Yates walked in the room, he was making something to eat. And I said, Remington's here. He just made the light blink. And I had asked him on Friday. He goes, oh, you're kidding. He goes, seriously, it came on last night and I can't believe you didn't wake up. And I totally forgot to tell you, but now that it came on and I had my validation, and I'm like, seriously, he was not lying. Yates doesn't lie about these things, please. He doesn't joke. And I'm like, oh, wow. And he goes, yeah. He goes, then that was Remington. And so my thought was Remington wanted me to see it before I went to bed now on Saturday because he knew I missed it the night before. So yeah, and it blinked one more time and then that was it. So to me, that was my validation that yes, we still can connect with the souls of those we love. Even if they are reincarnated, they do still come if you ask. So that was my test. I want you to try it. And I want you to see if there's someone that you would like to communicate with and ask them to send you a specific sign. Make it specific, say, I want to see an elephant as our symbol and see what happens. And please comment on this post because I would love to hear. So remember that we are always able to learn from our pets and our loved ones, even after they reincarnate. But while they're here, we have life journeys together. And through psychic work and your own intuitive work and energy healing, I believe we can get in alignment with our pets while they're alive to strengthen and open the gateway to learning what those life lessons are while they're here, because that's super important too. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for joining me. Hit that subscribe button and the like button. Tell your friends. And I'm going to be doing another video soon. So take care.